Hello, people. Welcome to another edition of A Dose of Drew and Sunday Sharpenings. Now, this here is the King Super Finish Stone S-1 6000. These stones, the Super Finish stones, the 6000, 8000, their claim to fame is the standardization of synthetic abrasives with the feel and experience of a natural stone. So it has, well, it doesn't show on here. What it has is a synthetic abrasive. So it's about 2 microns or so. It's a 6000. It's a pretty fine 6000. It's around 2.5 microns, I think, maybe 3. But it's probably right around that 2.5 microns. Japanese JIS standards, somewhere around in there. But it has a natural clay binder instead of any polymers, magnesia, or anything like that. It's a natural clay binder that they fire to be more like a natural stone. And that actually, with that natural clay binder, there's actually some silica. There's some other finer particles. So it's a 2.5 micron and under kind of polishing stone, and it's fired fairly hard. It's a splash and go for the most part. You can soak it if you want to start working up a slurry, but you're basically just breaking down the stone. But it is basically a splash and go. This is the same Messermeister that I have sharpened on some of the other ones here. Wasn't going to do the S1 on this one, but then I started looking and there's not a lot of reviews of this stone online, so I thought I would get everyone who hasn't tried it a little bit of an experience, because this is a really cool stone for working towards the mirror polish. I haven't tried the 8000. I'm sure it's similar, but we're going to try and give a little experience here on this one because it is nice. I do have another like pocket high grit Japanese natural stone that I have tried before. This one is very, very smooth as well. It's nice for things that aren't too carbide heavy. But all right, let's take a look at this. First off, dry some of this edge off here. This thing has been used since the 3000. Let's see the edge quality, because I'm basically it's polishing. Pretty good. No obvious stopping places. It's a little rough on the heel. A little bit jaggy right there. Maybe a little bit of jags. Maybe something on the tip. But not too bad. Still pretty good. A little bit rough off the 3000 has some use, but let's see if we can't polish that up. All right. Smooth, as you can hear. It's hard, but it's also soft, meaning you can dig in fairly easily, but you can also get your stuff out. Very forgiving stone. And for anyone who has dug ditches or post holes or dug anything and ran into clay, you can tell this is a real clay binder. This thing smells like clay out of the box. If you've dug and you've hit clay, you'll know what I mean. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know if there's another smell like it, but it smells like clay. It smells like dirt. If you're not careful, if you have a lot of chlorine in your water, it will take on the smell of chlorine. It's going to take a few flattenings to get that out. I can tell you that from experience. Woo! As I don't pay attention and shave some skin off. Let's check burr. Got some that need a little bit more on the heel. Started talking to stop paying attention. Still a little bit light on the back end here. There we go. All right, for those who were wondering, That right there is the skin I shaved off. Luckily, I have calloused fingers. So stopped paying attention, lifted the edge for just a second, and caught my finger as I was close. That's what's called a no-no. What you're not supposed to do. Generally, it's what I like about sharpening. I don't have to think about other things, to be perfectly honest. Ooh. Can feel some of the stuff apparently when it rolled to this side. The burrs coming off though. And I'm doing SG2 because I want to show that this stone can cut it and polish it, even at that small micron. This is a particle metallurgy steel, so I expect the carbides to be small. And most of it's going to be carbides that the artificial binder can cut. The alumina can cut. It may not cut it easily, but it can cut it. Ooh. Started to get nice and smooth. This feeling almost even. That is just the tiniest little micro wire too. A little bit more on the base. You can feel it. Very, very, very strong feedback. It's a hard stone, but it cuts into the binder, gives way a little bit easy, so it is friable. The longer you soak it, the more slurry you can make. But what that means is that as soon as you roll off the smooth, like you roll onto the shoulder, the smoothness gets bad. You roll up onto the edge a little bit, it cuts. You can feel it. The feedback on this stone is actually quite amazing. You can feel it. Micro adjustments for anyone who's done sharpening and you know about micro adjustments. Micro adjustments on this are so easy with immediate feedback, micro detail on the feedback. Like you can tell when you roll off bevel. So quick, so nice. And it quietly makes for an incredible polish. Oh yeah. And does so pretty quickly, honestly. It does its job very well. So I've had a burr on both sides. I'm going to do the countdown method. And for those who don't know, like I don't always count strokes. I try and get about the same amount of strokes, but I want to make sure I'm getting an even burr across. So I try and that helps me ensure that there's an even bevel across each side. And I want to try and keep the bevel centered. Now I may have done a little bit more, but keeping it even and about the same height on both sides, just through visual inspection, like it's about 1 millimeter on each side. That's going to help tell me what I need to do. And then to keep it in the middle while working the burr down, I'm going to give it the same amount of strokes on each side. All right, so I go 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, and then I just do some stropping with edge front strokes. So let's get to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No burr lift. Got the whole thing. Even some on the other side. Right. So let me flip this around for this so we can kind of wear this stone a little bit more even. Also make sure I'm getting water and wear across it fairly even. It's freshly flattened for this. Second time flattening in 5 years. spare burr left. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. There we go. 8. May have one more, but that's okay. We'll make it up. I got the tip right. I like to keep the surface a little bit wet. The stone can load up a little bit, but it is pretty resistant. All right, it just wipes right off. So it's really resistant to loading up. And you can find these, I believe, right now for under $40 on Amazon. As a 6,000 polishing stone, they're really nice. Nice. So 4, and as I get into the lower numbers, I'm doing lighter pressure. I'm kind of even this out. See, it's just the load up just wipes right off for the most part, which is very nice. Just enough pressure to keep it on bevel. Now this doesn't cut steel like a diamond stone, it's not going to, but having that clay binder that has some smaller particles in it of silicon dioxide, basically quartz or glass. Quartz is a little bit harder. There is some extra cutting power to it. No big burrs coming off on the strop. Just smooth sailing, so they've done a good job. Just enough pressure to keep it on bevel. I just go 3, 2, 1 on this, and then any singles I feel are necessary to get any smoothness off. This one may not require very many. It's pretty smooth right now. So our first single, very smooth. Very smooth. We'll do one more. No trailing, no burr. Very smooth, nice beveling. That should be very good. All right. Wipe some of this off and feel this on a new sheet of paper. First of all, visual inspection. See if I can get that shine in the camera. There we go. Pretty even. Pretty even. All right. Wiped off. No other stropping. Clean piece of newsprint. No no jaggies, just push cut shave. Oh, off camera. Push cut shave. That's not sliding, that's pushing. Very, very clean edge right off the 6,000 stone. That's a very polished. Actually, let me see if I can. Let me see something here. See if I can't show that off. This is how polished that is. Right next to some letters. Can you see it? Oh, there we go. Maybe that, no, I need to get where there's letters so you can see the print. That might help. There we go. Anyway, I don't know if that's, I'm not so good at getting the camera, but that should show you it's almost mirror polished as it sits. Real quick, I'll be right back. Since we got it that good, going to go with the 1/2 micron diamond strop here. Very shallow. This I do not do ambidextrously. Just very light individuals now. A couple of strokes per side on the diamond. There's no real burr to pull off, but this is going to also polish that edge just that little bit more. And again, just enough pressure to keep it on bevel. Ooh. All right. And one more slice, I guess. It's too big to... All right, let's see if it'll shave paper this way. How about if I hold it right? Yeah, biting in a couple places. As soon as I leaned it over into the, ooh, that slipped just a little bit. Yeah, it bites newsprint just by leaning it into it. That's going to push cut through veggies and stuff, super nice. A couple of words about the S-1 stone. It has a great feel. It's incredibly forgiving. The hand feel, the response back. As someone who sharpened a few knives and has some stones and has tried a couple, this is one of my first. This one, along with the 1200 King and then the 300 King, were my first 3 real standalone sharpening stones. I still have them. They still do a great job. The only reason I don't use the 1200 is I'm done with soaking stones. They take forever to dry, even in a non-humid environment. So that's my biggest thing on that. And I don't usually use my whetstones with my pocket knives. It makes them dish too much. My pocket knives tend to have way more carbides than SG2. Something like S90V or S1TV. You can on some of these, you can sharpen them, but like a polishing grit like this won't do so much. Anyway, I digress. This stone really does have great feedback. It's a great polishing stone. It's 6,000 or better. That natural clay does a whole lot for it. And as you can see, it cuts fast. Does a fantastic job on something that's already, made it through a grit progression. This one was used a little bit. You saw a little bit of the almost stutter steps where it had started to maybe take a little damage, and now we're just super smooth all along the edge, very even. No over sharpening on the tip, really. see if I can get that, no real over sharpening on the tip there. Nice and even. That nice haze on there's a little bit. This knife may need some thinning at some point in time, but again, this is the first real sharpening on this anyway. So there we go, all the way up to the 6000. The King S-1 Super Stone, Super Finish Stone. If you can get them, I believe they're like $38 on Amazon at the moment. They're still a great value. If you have, for anything that's not like a high carbide steel, and by high carbide, I mean something over about 2 to 3%. You start getting much over that into the S30V, S45VN, S110Vs, you'll want to stay in the higher grits. The carbides like the vanadium and niobium start getting bigger than the grit on the 6000. So you're going to dish your stone, you're going to wear it fast, and you're going to have like carbide tear out, so it's going to be harder to get a good polished edge. That being said, SG2 is one of the highest carbide stainless steels. Things like HAP 40 and stuff, you can still sharpen on here, even though there's tungsten carbides and stuff like that, but it has the same thing. Diamond stones tend to do that, and they tend to wear this, those, they don't wear out like these stones. But most kitchen knives or larger knives, when you want them to be tough, you'll have a lower carbide content, and this will cut most of them. And it does such a fantastic job. The feel of it is really hard to, the smell that it smells natural, it smells like rock or dirt, like clay, that it is so hard and splash and go, like it's basically ready. It doesn't take hardly anything to soak. Like literally run it under water, and then keep a little bit of water to keep the top, as it pushes water off to keep the top soaked. It may absorb a little bit. If you like slurry, you can soak it for a while and you can get some slurry built up. I find it to be not, all it does is wear the stone down more. So yeah, just a little bit on that. It's really hard to gush too much on this stone because it's a great whetstone. Is it going to cut the S90Vs, S45Vs, S110s as good as diamonds? Oh goodness, no. But it'll make a fantastic edge that's at least a 6000 grit or better, so it'll have some other finer bits in there, and it polishes the edge to something you can actually read lettering on. Like you can actually, let me see if I can get that. Oh, man. You can actually see mirror images in that edge from that 6000. Yeah, I did it on the 50K, the 50,000 or the half micron as well, which gave it a nice polish on top of that. But you could do it right off the stone. There's not a lot of reviews of this stone out there, and it's a great polishing stone. There's very little reason, unless you have like straight razors or anything like that, to go any higher. You may have like some sushi knives or something like that. You may want to go a little bit higher, but this is a fantastic finish for any vegetable knife, and a kiri, santokas, anything where you do a lot of push cutting. This is a fantastic stone to finish it off with a polished edge that does an incredible job. And I really like the stone for that. The feel and the feedback is hard. Like with the Shapton glass or the Shapton Kuramaku and the Shapton Rockstar, they're very hard and they have a feedback similar to diamond stones. Diamond stones are very unforgiving, right? A little bit of an edge change will grind your edge out. This thing gives you a little bit of warning. It tells you, oh, you're kind of on the shoulder. Oh, you're kind of tilting onto the edge. And it allows you just enough time with its cutting speed to make those micro adjustments. And it tells you instantly and allows you to react instantly to the stone. And it gives you those Zen moments where you can get just totally immersed in the sharpening. For those who do love sharpening, you'll know what I mean. For those who don't, just keep practicing, you'll get there. But yeah, so King Super Finish S1, highly recommended. Still a great value for anyone who wants a polishing stone. It comes with its own base. You can't really get them without it. So if that's a deal breaker, so be it. But if you're like okay with having a stone that has its own base, it's a really, really great stone. There we go. Oh, as you can see, it doesn't even load up. Sharpen that whole knife, no load up. Again, very, very cool about this stone. It's hard to, there's really no downsides to this stone except that it won't cut the higher carbides steel so fast. And for those who first get it, it's going to smell like dirt because it actually has a natural clay binder. A clay that's actually been pulled out of the ground and used for this. So it's a mix of natural and synthetic materials. And it is pretty darn good. Comes beveled from the factory, so the edges are protected, pretty flat. It has all the markings on it, so as you can see, I've used this quite a bit. It's just a really good all-around polishing stone that gives you a 6,000 or better finish. As you saw, it does. It can do all that stuff. The knife is far worse than my own sharpening, or far better than my own sharpening, I should say. What else? It's cheap. It's good value. You get a lot of life out of that stone. It is still a wet stone in that you need water and you do need to flatten it once in a while. But it is extremely hard, long wearing while being soft and instantaneous on the feedback. That's really hard to pull off when this stone does it. It's for the people who are fanatic about it, I can see why. I have tried a couple others. I just didn't like it as much. The diamond stones, anything else about this range, the 2 to 3 micron, just doesn't have the same feel. The forgiveness, the feedback. It's really hard to explain when you have that kind of thing where you feel like you're working with the stone to do it. Like the stone is like, yeah, we're going to do this together. And this stone gives you that feeling. All right, I think I've gushed on long enough about the King Super Finish S-1 6000. This is important, the S-1 6000. They have S-45s, they have S-3s, they have other models. This is the one that has the natural clay binder, and that's important. It makes all the difference on the feedback, feel, and just overall experience with the stone. It's really hard to talk about sharpening Zen, where you can get into it. You need to, because otherwise you can do things like shave parts of your finger off. In some ways, that's the best part about sharpening. It requires all of your attention. You don't want to get distracted while you're moving something that sharp quickly around near your fingers. So you get focused, you can get in the zone, and you get into a little bit of sharpening Zen, and you can just go. This stone can get you there in a moment. It's so good, especially as a finished stone, to get done with all that and then get on this, and it's just beautiful. It takes almost nothing. You almost don't even need to pull a burr. You can just do the countdown, and it'll almost always be enough to pull it into a polished state. It's really that fantastic. All right, so I'm gonna quit gushing on it about a stone like I'm married to it. Go ahead, take this video, watch it twice, comment as much as you like, be mindful of side effects. Remember to like and subscribe. This has been your dose of Drew. I am said Drew. You guys have a great rest of your day.